Okay, in this lesson, you're going to do a bit of a recap on what a plant cell looks like and then compare it to an animal cell. You would have covered this last year, but it's important to remember this for the coming lessons. So, the learning intention is to recall and understand the function of the parts of a plant cell. This is your starter, so I want you to answer these questions in your book or on the Google document. How many parts of a plant cell can you remember, and what is the function of each part? Stop the video and then restart the video once you've done that. This is what an animal cell looks like. There are four components to it, four main components, and that is the cell membrane, which surrounds the whole cell, the cytoplasm, mitochondria, and a nucleus. Okay. As far as what the functions do, the cell membrane is there to control what enters and leaves the cell. Cytoplasm is the area of the cell where all the reactions occur, and it provides shape to the cell. Mitochondria is there to release energy for the cell for respiration, and the nucleus contains genetic information and also controls the cell. What I want you to do now is to draw and label the animal cell in your book. Okay, next I want you to watch the video that's on the slide. Use the hyperlink there to load the video, and just watch out to see how a plant cell is different from an animal cell, as well as what are the functions of the different parts. Okay, so from the video you should have seen these main components that are in a plant cell. Just like an animal cell, it does contain a nucleus which controls activities in the cell, as we've said. It also contains a cell membrane, just like an animal cell, which controls what moves in and out of the cell. Cytoplasm as well, which is a jelly-like substance where chemical reactions take place. But a plant cell also contains other components, of which include a vacuole. The vacuole contains cell sap, which is a mixture of, it's like sugary water, and it helps keep the cell firm, and turgid is a really good term for that. That means just keeping the cell firm. The vacuole is always the largest component inside the cell, so it's always larger than the nucleus, than any mitochondria, than any chloroplast. It'll be the largest component inside the cell. In the top there, the green spots are known as chloroplasts. Now these are important. We're going to look at these in the coming lessons. These are used for photosynthesis, and they contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. This pigment is needed for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their food. We talked about it briefly in the last lesson, and you're going to look at it a bit more in the coming lessons. Also, a plant cell contains a cell wall. This here is for protection and for support. That is the main purpose of the cell wall. Do not confuse that with the cell membrane. The cell membrane is there to control what enters and leaves, whereas the cell wall is there for support and protection. Cell wall is almost like, if you imagine like a house, it's the wall part of the house. Cell membrane is like the door, controls what goes in and out. What I want you to do now is to draw a plant cell in your book and label the different components. Beneficial to do this in pencil so that if you make a mistake you can rub it out. Next, I want you to draw and complete the table below using what you've recapped on what's in a plant cell and what's in an animal cell. And use ticks and crosses to state if the component is in the cell or not. And then once you've done that, move on to the next slide. Okay, onion cells. This is what they look like underneath the microscope, and if I can zoom in here, every single one of these rectangles is a cell. So every single one of these is a cell. And as you can see inside the cell, every small faint dot is the nucleus. So that's the nucleus there that you can see. Oh. The larger spots here, a lot of people confuse those with the nucleus, these things here. They are not the nucleus. They are in fact air bubbles that have been created when you've made the slide. That's another very large air bubble over here. Okay, you will not be able to see under a light microscope the likes of chloroplasts, and you'll struggle to see even vacuoles as well, but the nucleus you can often see, and sometimes the cell wall as well. So the question is, why can you not see any chloroplasts here? And next slide. The reason is because onions grow in the ground, therefore they can't absorb sunlight because they're in the ground, which they need for photosynthesis, and so there's no need for chloroplasts. The whole purpose of having the chloroplast present is so that they can carry out photosynthesis to make food. But if they don't have sunlight, there's no way they can carry out photosynthesis anyway, so there's no point in having chlorophyll or chloroplast. Finally, it's a plenary quiz. So go through each of the steps. I want you to include, or each of the questions, I want you to include, for each question, number it and put the letter that you think is the right answer beside them all. Okay, it should reveal the answer after each slide. And that's us finished the lesson. If you have any questions, please include them on Google Classroom. And remember, if you're writing your notes down in your book, to take photos of that and upload it onto the Google document, the remote learning Google document that I've provided on Google Classroom. All work from every lesson should be put onto that Google document.